back in July 2003, my dad and I went to visit my dad's friend Adam Fishel, who showed us his Model A and his Model T, and he also had a 1958 Chevy pickup, kind of a work truck.
Maybe just past this truck. If we can get it just past the truck would be good. Anywhere there is good, so.
I'm Adam Fishel, and this has been a hobby for many, many years because my dad, when he come home from work from the Buckeye, he used to crawl underneath and fix guys' cars locally. And I used to crawl under and watch him do it. And my mother hollering at him, "Jim, get him out of there," because I'd have grease on my clothes. And they had cars like Chalmers and Rickenbackers. It's 1928, and it was made in first part of January. And the way you told the difference later in January was your emergency brake here. The very first Model A emergency brake was the same thing as the T, which you know how it was here, the side bill. Well, then 1 or 2 weeks later, they moved the emergency brake here in front of the gear shift lever. Then a month after that, they put the emergency brake beside the gear shift lever. And the starter button's way up there. That's the choke. Here's reading your amperage, gas gauge, how many miles an hour and your miles. And this is your starter. And this here is your light switch. There's high and low beam. This here, I put side lights. Those little lights there on the side, they call them side lights. And that's, if you look, you'd see. That wasn't standard on Ford until 1931, which was the last year for Model A's. I've got a 6-volt, but it's an alternator, and it's not a conventional voltage. And on the T in there, I've got a Volkswagen distributor on it. Now the Model T, you put the gasoline in, you take the seat out and put the gas in there. Here, the gas is put in here. This is 40 horse and the Model T is 20 horse engines, yeah. Most cars had wiring for spark from the spark plug to the distributor. Model A's have just a flat piece of copper that runs from the spark plug to the distributor. Now, one of the things I had to do on this, since this was such an old Model A, the steering on this, this is the steering column, that had originally what they called 7-tooth steering at the bottom. And it took 6 men and a boy to steer the daggone thing. And they recommended it, and I put on what the later Model A's were, which was 7-tooth profit. We'll find it. This Model T originated in Coshocton in 1916. In 1915 or 14, no, 15, it belonged to a feed mill there in Coshocton. name. Now, this here, see how big a drum that is on them? This is brakes. Here. That's what they call a Colorado mountain brake. Well, come on. That's the distributor, but it was made for a Volkswagen. That lever there is that. The one on the other side is your timer. Similar to that. Evel Knievel gave me that. I was admiring it. And he said, "You like that?" And I said, "Yeah, I'd buy one." And he said, "You don't need to." And he just handed it to me. If you're interested in them, fine. And if money is an item, don't mess with it. That's the whole thing in a nutshell.
Mr. Fishel was just shy of 90 years old the day we filmed those interviews, and later that day he drove down to the first Town Days car show in New Philadelphia, Ohio, where he lives, where he won the award as the oldest driver to attend the show.